Here's a very small scene that I worked on today for my tutorial scene. So this is where the players first join in my game and they'll learn to move the character using the joystick. Here, I'll play the game. And then you'll see that there's a joystick here. And then there's a marker on the ground where the player is supposed to move their character. So I quite like how this turned out. And in the beginning, when I started laying down the trees and the rocks and everything, it looked really flat and not good. So I learned that if you want to make your scene look good and stylized, you really need to work on the lighting and the post process. And this is what I learned the entire day today, and I wanted to share with you guys exactly what values were used to recreate this. Unfortunately, this particular project I cannot upload to the internet, partly because it's my game. Also, the assets that I'm using here are purchased assets, so I cannot share them with you guys. But I will create a whole new project, and then I will only use the free assets from Unity Asset Store, and then recreate the lighting and the post process. From the Unity Hub, we're gonna create a new project, and I'm just gonna choose Universal 3D Core, and then name it Test. I don't need to connect to Unity Cloud, and then I'll just create a project. Okay, the brand new project has been created, and we're going to download 2 asset packs. And those are the low poly environment nature free and fantasy skybox. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start installing them. Okay, so we're now going to open the scene from the asset pack that we downloaded. So it would be the, let's see, this one. And then there should be a scene here. And you'll notice that all the assets are pink, all the trees. And what we need to fix this is go back to the assets Polytope Studio, and then go to select the low poly environment, and then URP, and then I select the latest because I'm using the latest Unity. Just double click on it and then click import, and then it should render the proper trees. Okay, now if you click on the player and then hit F key on the keyboard, you'll see that there is a player and the camera is facing this way. Now if I play the game, it already looks pretty decent. The camera moves according to my mouse movement. So the default scene that comes with the pack, asset pack, it looks pretty good, but I still don't like the fact that there's a very high contrast on the shadow side, negative side of the assets. And hopefully my lighting and post-processing would make it a little bit better, but we'll see. You really have to tweak the values per the assets that you're using, but I'm just going to be using the configurations that I'm using in my game. There's no guarantee that it's going to look good, but you are encouraged to tweak the values so that it fits your game. So the first thing we're going to do is delete all the directional light, and it will become pretty dark. And then if you go to window, I believe the lighting is here somewhere. Here, rendering lighting, and I already have it here. And if you go to here, click new so that you have a new lighting settings file, and then go to the environment, and then for the skybox, select nothing. So we're just trying to start from nothing. So fog, turn the fog off. And then make the ambient color black. So we have a scene that has no light at all. So this is where we're gonna start, and then we're gonna now create a directional light, and right away the scene lights up. And the values that we're gonna use here is going to be go to select the directional light and then inspector, and then we're going to be using this value. FFE5C4, and then we're gonna change the intensity to 1.2. So of course, when we configure everything to my configuration, you can come back and change the colors however you want for your game. And then there's no shadow right now, so it looks flat and it looks weird, right? So we're gonna go ahead and just add a soft shadow. Yep. And I like my shadow to be lighter. So just about there. But again, you can change it to your own liking. So that's about it for the directional light. And then we're going to go ahead and go to the lighting. And we're going to go to environment. And here we're going to choose the skybox. And because I wanted sunset, we're going to choose sunset here. And this comes from the fantasy pack. And the sun source will be the directional light. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to change the source to color. And we're going to use 161, 130, 165. And right away you can see, oops. Right away you can see the whole scene lighting up. And then we are going to have the fog turned on. And right now there's the colors don't match between the sky and the fog. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to set 255 and 40. And we are going to have the mode to be exponential squared. And all of these things you should be playing around with linear, exponential squared, and play around with the density value until you find something that you like. Okay, and then I also had the halo strength to be 0.38, and then flare strength to be 0.772. Right, so that is it for the lighting and the directional light setup. Now we're going to move on to doing the post process. So what you're going to do is you're going to create volume, global volume, and then call it post process. And select the post process and go to inspector. And in here, we're going to be adding bloom. Oh, first you need to click on new to create a new profile. And then you're going to have a bloom here. And you're going to turn on everything except the tint. And then I didn't touch the lens dirt. Threshold 0.3, intensity 1, and then scatter to be 0.37, and then the clamp would be 0.5. And then we're going to add color adjustments. And I did contrast, and I made it negative 12.6. If you put more contrast, it will start to look more realistic, and I didn't want that. I wanted it to be a little bit washed out so that it looks like a little bit cartoony. And then you can add another one, and I added, I don't know how to pronounce that, but that thing. And then this adds sort of frame looking black fog, you could say. And I want it very ever so slight for that. There you go. Couple more things you need to remember to do is to go to player, main camera, and you need to check post-processing in the inspector. Otherwise, when you play the game, your camera is not going to have all the post-processing configuration that you've set up applied to the camera, and you're not going to see any of that. And then also what I like to do is go to lighting and click on generate lighting. This will pretty much light up the entire scene. Okay, that is done. Now we can click play to play test. Okay, and you can see that the game looks really cool. It looks really stylized. You can see the negative side of this tree is also lit up, and it's not too contrasting. So it looks pretty cartoony, and we have a nice fog color that matches the skyline. Yeah, so overall this is looking good, and hopefully this kind of setup is good for you, useful for your game as well. What I'll do is I'll package up this game and this Unity project, and then I'll upload it and I'll provide a link in the description of this video so you guys can download and play around with it and have fun.